My name is Noah Hallbridge. I'm 61, and I've spent most of my life building a quiet, respectable existence in the shadows of louder, richer, more ruthless people, starting with my own family. I used to be a chemical engineer, the kind of man who fixes what breaks and keeps his head down. My wife Maggie comes from money, old Carolina money. Her side of the family never let me forget I was the one who married up. They made jokes, subtle ones. But over the years, I learned to laugh along, until the day I found something in her drawer that wasn't meant for me. I've always been the quiet one, the forgettable one, the nice guy everyone assumes will go along with anything. They were wrong. They thought I'd break when I found out. They didn't realize I'd already started plotting what to do next. The house was dark except for the soft amber glow from the bedroom window. Maggie said she had a late dinner meeting. Spa weekend coming up. Thursday night, she was packing. I came home early. Back spasms, nothing new. She didn't hear me walk in. I stopped in the hallway. Our bedroom door was open. Her suitcase was half zipped, and sitting atop a pile of silk robes, nestled like a secret in the folds of her nightgown, was a tube. Red-capped, metallic, unopened. I picked it up, turned it over. Lubricant, high-end, 3 Oz. Size, subtle fragrance. I knew that brand. We hadn't touched each other in over 6 years. She said it was hormones. I said I understood. She lied. And I pretended to believe her. My grip tightened around the tube. My breath slowed. The old engineer in me flicked back to life. I opened the hall closet, top shelf. Black case with rusted latches. Inside, sealed canisters from my old contract days. 2 tubes of cyanoacrylate industrial adhesive, same packaging, same size, different destiny. I made the switch before she got home. The next morning, Maggie was chipper. Wore the sapphire scarf she only used when trying, too. Hard. Her perfume hit me before she even entered the room. "Don't wait up," she said. "Spa treatments start early." I nodded. There's a phrase I used to tell my students back in training. Pressure doesn't create cracks. It reveals them. Her car door slammed. Tires crunched down the driveway. The house fell silent again. I stared at the empty kitchen, the untouched coffee pot, the half-packed suitcase. Then I walked to the living room and opened the cabinet beneath the TV. I pulled out the drive recorder, checked the time, reviewed the motion alerts. 3:11 a.m. Shadow near back fence. 3:37 a.m. Front door sensor triggered. Maggie had a key, of course. But the figure was taller, broader, male. The footage cut out. I spent the day waiting. I cleaned, rearranged the garage, tried to read, couldn't. I checked the local ER logs online. Anonymous tip search. Nothing. Where was the scream? The glue should have worked. I calibrated the viscosity myself. At 9:40 p.m., headlights swept across the living room. Her car. She walked in fine. No limp, no panic, no shame. Just a glassy smile and the scent of lavender oil. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Perfect," she said. "I feel amazing." Then she kissed my forehead and walked upstairs. I sat in the dark kitchen until the fridge clicked on. The silence between us was louder than any scream. Something was off. She hadn't used it, or maybe not on who I thought, so I checked her car. Back seat, clean. Too clean. Wiped down with lemon disinfectant, still smelled sterile. But I found something. Tucked under the seat mat, wedged between the frame and carpet, another tube, still warm. Unopened. She hadn't used mine. So who did? I didn't say a word. I just waited. For the scream. Morning light slid across the kitchen floor like a scalpel. Maggie stood by the sink, humming, wearing her robe, stirring oatmeal like nothing had happened. I watched the back of her neck. Smooth, relaxed, unbothered. She hadn't screamed, she hadn't limped. And the glue? It was gone, swapped, discarded, or never used. I poured coffee, didn't drink it. "Weird dreams," she said suddenly, spoon tapping the bowl. Woke up feeling like I'd forgotten something. I nodded. Probably nothing worth remembering. Her smile faltered for half a second. Then she turned, kissed my cheek, and floated upstairs. The sound of the shower kicking on was too clean, too normal. It shouldn't be. I needed facts, not guesses. Facts. I drove her car to the garage, pulled into stall 6, popped the trunk. Vacuum lines too perfect. Rear floor mat replaced. There, wedged deep, another tube. The original, still sealed. She never used it. So who did? And when? Back home, I opened my laptop, brought up the old GPS tracker I'd installed back in the days when Maggie kept forgetting where she parked at the club. Last ping, a cabin up near Lake Watoga. Timestamp, 3:42 a.m. She told me she was at a friend's spa in Asheville. She lied. Cabin's property records listed a shell, LLC, DP Holdings Inc., Dean Pierce, my cousin, lawyer, Maggie's advisor. Dean handled our estate, our taxes, the house title, our wills. He also owed me $84,000 from a joint land deal years back. I'd let it go. He hadn't. I knew Dean had snakes under his skin. What I didn't know until that second was that my wife had been feeding them. I called Lana, only person I still trusted, retired Army nurse. Helped me through the spinal rehab, tougher than nails, smoked like a furnace, had a stare that could dissect a man in half. She picked up on the third ring. If this is about blood pressure again, I'm not your goddamn therapist. I need audio, surveillance, micro scale, disposable, a pause. You planning to catch someone or bury them? I didn't answer. She grunted. I'll be by tonight. Maggie left again that evening. Same excuse. Spa. Same lie. Back Sunday. This time I slipped the bug Lana gave me into the lining of her makeup pouch. Custom fit, voice activated, Wi-Fi fallback. I watched her drive off without looking back. The cabin wasn't just a hideaway. It was a base. 9:48 p.m. Recorder pinged. 10:03 p.m. Laughter. 10:09 p.m. Clinking glass. Then her voice soft but loaded. He's not suspicious. Still quiet as ever. Dean's voice sharper. It's not enough. The doc needs those papers signed before the insurance window closes. Pause. Maggie. He won't sign anything. You said, Dean. Then we fake it. Click, then static. I listened again. Slower. Each word crawled under my skin. Insurance window. Fake it. Not adultery. Not heartbreak. Fraud. And maybe worse. I opened our file cabinet. Maggie's drawer, labeled home insurance. Inside, policies, deeds. One stood out. Life insurance. Policyholder, Noah Hallbridge. New term added last month. $750,000 payout. Beneficiary, Margaret Hallbridge. Signatures, mine and hers. Except, I never signed it. The light in the hallway flickered. Front door creaked. A chill ran across my shoulders. Not from cold, from knowing someone else had been in this room. My office wasn't locked. My life wasn't mine. I stared at the forged signature. Neat. Perfect. Wrong. This isn't betrayal, I whispered. This is premeditation. And then the phone rang. Unknown number. I picked up. Noah, the voice said, smooth as oil. There's a matter we need to finalize. Maggie has transferred the discretionary rights of the estate. I gripped the desk. What the hell are you talking about? The voice didn't flinch. She has full control now, legal binding and irrevocable. I heard the words, but my brain stalled at one. Irrevocable. If my lawyer's in on it, who the hell do I call now? The phone was still warm in my hand when I heard it. Click. No goodbye. No hesitation. Just silence. I stood in the center of my office, lit only by the low hum of the aquarium near the bookshelf. Maggie's blue bettafish circled its tank like it knew what was coming. My lungs pulled tight. Discretionary rights, irrevocable, transferred. That meant she didn't just have access. She owned it all. I tore open the desk drawer, pulled out the original estate binder, red leather, gold embossed. Inside, copies of every document we'd signed when we updated the trust. Last date of revision, March 4th. My last signature, February 18th. 2 weeks before that. Something didn't match. I flipped to the amendment page. Sure enough, my signature at the bottom of a page titled Full Asset Discretion Transfer Executor Bypass Clause. Except I never signed that. Not with that pen. Not in that font. I knew my strokes, and I never wrote the N like that. The paper smelled off, like fresh toner. They'd forged it. No, not just forged. Fabricated. My chest buzzed with static. I went to the hallway closet, pulled out the old briefcase I hadn't touched since I left Ridgewell Biotech. Inside, 2 portable UV pins, 1 fingerprint lift kit, and a faded folder labeled Reactive Security Protocols. Maggie once joked that I was paranoid. She had no idea why I kept all this. People don't just lie to you, they edit you out. I clicked the UV pen, highlighted the paper, inked inconsistencies everywhere. Too fresh, too perfect. I didn't sleep. At 2:14 a.m., I drove to Lana's place, left the binder on her porch with a sticky note. You said you shoot to protect. Prove it. N. Back home, the lights were already on. Maggie's car was in the driveway, but she wasn't supposed to be back until Sunday. I entered through the garage. Quiet, careful, every step measured. A voice echoed down the hall. He still doesn't know. You covered the financials. Dean, that bastard was in my house. I crept up to the study, left ear against the door frame. He's not even checking the mail, Dean. I handle all that. He's like a child. Maggie's voice, sweet, tainted. Another voice, more distant. Once the new clause processes, the offshore is cleared. I step back, pressure rising in my temples. I knew that word, offshore. A second later, the front door closed. By the time I turned the corner, Maggie was in the kitchen, alone, stirring tea like it was just another Tuesday. You're up late, she said, not turning around. So are you, I replied. She smiled, not surprised, not even nervous. Something in her eyes told me she already had her answers. Next morning, I visited the county clerk's office, pulled a public report on property liens. One entry, new, dated 5 days ago. Hallbridge residence, lien executed under trust, 511 DPDP. Dean Pierce, a lien on my house, executed through my own trust. I stepped outside, knuckles white. People walked past me like I was invisible. That's how it happens, right? Not with a gun or a knife, with ink, paper, notaries, quiet signatures. No one questions. By noon, I drove straight to Dean's office. Front desk girl smiled. Mr. Hallbridge, Dean's in conference until... I pushed past her, opened the inner door. Dean looked up from his chair, calm, buttoned up, whiskey on his desk. Screen turned off. Noah, he said, standing slowly. Didn't expect... You forged my name. He blinked, too slow. You're insane, he said. You think I'd risk my license for... You already did. I dropped the estate binder on his desk. I want every transfer reversed, every document pulled. Now. He sighed. Noah, that's not how it works anymore. Behind him, the office window showed downtown's traffic. Cold. Gray. By the time you figure out how deep this goes, Dean said, you won't be able to walk it back. He leaned closer. Besides, Maggie's not just your wife. She's our client now. You're not a lawyer, I said. You're a broker with a law degree. He smiled. I'm both. Efficient. I walked out, straight to the parking garage. My hands shook too much to unlock the car. Then I saw it, on the windshield. A manila envelope, unmarked. Inside, one page, typed. Confirmation of cognitive decline, Noah Hallbridge. Signed, dated, notarized. Filed in the county database 3 hours ago. She wasn't just taking the house. She was taking me. They were building a case. Next step, guardianship, psychiatric hold, institutionalization. They think I'm broken, but they've never seen what I do when I break. Rain fell sideways that night. Hard, relentless, like the sky was trying to scrub something off the earth. I watched Maggie through the kitchen window. She pulled into the driveway at 2:12 a.m., headlights cutting across our front yard like prison searchlights. She moved slow, clutching her hip, limping, just barely. She didn't notice I was standing in the shadows, watching her reflection blur across the glass. Her scarf was crooked, makeup smeared. Her silence said more than a scream ever could. She didn't speak to me, didn't even glance. Went straight upstairs, closed the bedroom door, locked it. No hug, no, sorry I'm late. Just that faint citrus scent she only wore on nights when she was trying to forget something. People lie with their mouths, but they confess with their walk. I opened the fridge, took out the whiskey, no glass. I didn't drink to forget. I drank to remember sharper. Next morning, Maggie made eggs like nothing had happened. She winced when she sat. I pretended not to notice. Didn't sleep well, she mumbled. Back's been tight. Backs don't bruise, I said. She didn't respond. The fork clinked on her plate. A small tremor ran through her hand. I stepped out to the mailbox while she was showering. Inside was a legal envelope. Sender, Grace Holloway-esque. Subject, notice of change in property executor authority. Signed, notarized, effective immediately. Maggie had full legal authority over the property. I crumpled the paper in my fist, felt my teeth grind. There's a moment when you stop playing defense, when the pain stops stinging and starts burning, and fire spreads fast. Garage, workbench, lockbox under the floor mat. I pulled out a black canister marked Provisc 2000, industrial grade, thin as lubricant, tackier than cement. The same stuff I used to use ceiling joint panels under extreme pressure conditions. Illegal for skin use. Binds tissue in 3.2 seconds. I grabbed her travel. Case. Slid open the bottom panel, swapped the real tube with the fake. A simple switch, silent, precise. The kind of revenge no one can trace, but everyone will remember. She left for Pilates that afternoon. I stayed behind, waited, hands steady, heart flat. By 9 p.m., her name popped up on my phone. Missed call, no message, then another. This time from a private number. I picked up, heavy breathing. Then a whisper. He's stuck. He can't, oh God. Click, dial tone. I leaned back, felt the laugh crawl up my throat but never leave my lips. It worked. Too well. The next morning, emergency vehicles lined the street, not at our house, but down the block, 3 houses over. Neighbors in robes stood outside. Flashing lights painted their faces red and blue. I walked over. Someone had a situation, Mrs. Claremont said, voice low. Inside the master suite, firefighters had to pry 2 people apart. Her husband added, they were naked, screaming. Took 3 EMTs to separate them. I turned slowly. That was not Maggie's voice on the call. Back at the house, Maggie was in the kitchen, reading the paper. Calm, collected, no limp, no bruises, and a brand new tube of lubricant tucked neatly on the counter. Different brand. Unopened. My mouth went dry. She never used the tube I swapped. She gave it to someone else. I walked into the garage, pulled down the attic ladder, climbed up. Box of old electronics, cables, my field recorder. I pulled out the hard drive bug Lana had given me. Time to move past paranoia. Time to document everything. They weren't just using me. They were replacing me. I opened Maggie's laptop. She'd left it on the counter, unlocked. A folder named Retirement Planning. Inside, spreadsheets, payment logs, legal templates, and a PDF, Medical Declaration of Incompetency. Drafted, filled, ready. My name. Her name, Dean's digital signature, filed, time-stamped. 1 button from being submitted. She wasn't just after my house. She wanted my name, my future, my ability to fight back. And if the glue had stuck the wrong pair of lovers, the only thing it did was buy me time. I opened the recorder, pressed record. If they can fake my voice, what else have they forged? The lights in the study clicked off at 2:17 a.m. I watched from across the street. Dean's office was empty. His assistant had gone home. His Audi was gone. The security camera above the door blinked once every 10 seconds. I had 5 minutes. 6, if he was drinking. I crossed the parking lot fast, hood up, gloves on. Lana was already by the back door, crouched under the security panel. You said 10, she muttered. You're early, I said. I like that. She slid the cover off. 2 wires clipped, a faint click. Door open. Inside, the air was too cold, too sterile. Leather, bleach, metal, Dean's scent. Every paper in that office was designed to look clean, honest, ironed, but I knew what to look for. Bottom drawer, locked. Lana held up the mini crowbar like a relic. Give me 30 seconds. Take 20, I whispered. The lock snapped. Inside, folders, dozens, most labeled with initials, dates, or blank stickers. One stood out. Project. Willowfall. Not a client. Not a case. A plan. I opened the folder. Inside, timelines, emails, screenshots, voice print authorizations, photos of me, Maggie, the house, legal memos. In the center, a spreadsheet, columns labeled Asset Timeline, Transfer Agent, Proxy Filing, Contingency. My name was in bold. Under Target. Lana leaned over. Jesus Christ. She pointed to another name, Dr. Lynn Becker, neurologist, filed under Evaluation Scheduling. You know her? Lana asked. I nodded. 10 years ago, I reviewed her patent on memory recalibration implants. This isn't about me going crazy. It's about making it look like you already did. I flipped to the back. One slip of paper, legal-sized, notarized, Maggie's signature, title, Advanced Directive for Cognitive Emergency Override. It gave Dean and Maggie full authority to commit me if signs of deterioration appeared. All it needed was a physician's checkbox. Undated. Ready. They weren't waiting for me to fail. They were building a trap, so I couldn't even prove I was sane enough to object. Lana was already scanning the files. I pulled out my phone, snapped every page, cloud backup, offline copy, thumb drive. Then I grabbed the original and stuffed it in my coat. "You sure about that?" Lana asked. "This is war now." I looked at her. "They started a fire," I said. "I'm just carrying the matchbook." We got out. Back alley, street empty, until it wasn't. One black sedan, no headlights, engine idling. Two men inside, no movement, just watching. I didn't say a word. We drove off slow, calm. My heart was sprinting, but my hands stayed still. Sometimes the most dangerous move is acting like you're not afraid to die. Back at home, I opened the drawer under Maggie's side of the bed. Found it. Flash drive, silver, labeled Rex account in it, plugged it into my laptop. Password protected, easy. She always used our anniversary. Inside, bank records, offshore wire transfers. 3 accounts, one Cayman, one Zurich, one in a Panama holding bank, under aliases. The largest, 3.2 million dates matched the spreadsheet from Dean's folder. This wasn't just about my house. This was retirement planning with a body count. Then I saw it. One PDF file, hidden deeper, psych eval draft N. Hallbridge, written by Dr. Becker. Words like cognitive blunting, paranoia, disorganized thinking. Each symptom linked to fabricated text messages, clips of voice recordings, edited out of context. My voice, but not my words. "You ever wonder why they tell you not to talk to yourself?" I muttered. "Because someone might be listening." One more file, audio. I played it. Dean's voice, smooth, cocky. "She won't back out now. We've got leverage." Then Maggie, "You promised no violence." Dean, "It's not violence if he just disappears." My breath caught. That wasn't a plan to ruin me. It was a plan to erase me. They've already written my ending, but I'm not done writing. The lighter clicked once, twice. On the third strike, the flame caught, hissing in the dark like it knew what I was about to do. I stood in Dean's office, alone. Midnight, just me and a duffel bag full of files. No cameras. Lana disabled the system 20 minutes earlier. We had 6 minutes before the cleaning crew showed. I poured the accelerant across the mahogany desk, the leather chair, the framed degrees that had never been earned, and I tossed the match. The fire roared instantly, like it had been waiting. Outside, smoke curled behind me like a tail. No sirens yet. Not yet. We drove away without a word. Lana stared ahead. "You sure that was the only way?" "No," I said. But it was the fastest. 3 days later, the files I sent anonymously hit inboxes across the state. Investigative journalists, the Attorney General's office, and 2 former federal agents I used to train with. Dean's offshore network unraveled in real time. Clients dropped him. Firms froze assets. One assistant flipped. Maggie vanished. No contact, no text, no trace. Until the morning she showed up at my door, soaked, pale, alone, hair tangled, hands trembling. She looked like someone who'd finally seen the monster she married, or maybe realized she had become one. She didn't ask to come inside. She just stood there. "I didn't know," she whispered. "Not all of it." "That's the thing about silence," I said. "It always sounds innocent until it doesn't." She started to cry, but I didn't move. Tears are easy. Regret is a choice. "I never meant to." "You did," I cut in. "Maybe not at first, but you chose it. Every time you didn't stop him, every time you let me look like the fool." She lowered her eyes. "I have nowhere else to go." I stepped back and closed the door. They found Dean's body 2 weeks later, 30 miles offshore. Weighted, gunshot to the chest. Execution style. Police called it a targeted retaliation. They never charged anyone, but people like him always collect debts bigger than they can pay. And someone, somewhere, finally called in his. The house was quiet again. Too quiet. I sat on the back porch, watching the wind move through the trees like it was trying to erase something. I didn't feel victorious, just free. Freedom's not clean. It's heavy. It leaves ashes where names used to be. The day the last account closed, I walked into a notary office with a sealed envelope. Inside, my confession, the full story, the glue, the surveillance, the fire, everything, signed, stamped, copied, hand-delivered to the district attorney with a letter that said, "If I disappear next, you'll know why." No one ever came for me. No charges, no phone calls, just silence. And sometimes that's louder than guilt. I moved out of the house 3 months later, bought a cabin 2 towns over, cut off utilities in Maggie's name, deleted every account I'd ever had, started writing again, a memoir, but not for publishing, for remembering. Truth fades fast when you let someone else hold the pen. One night, Lana visited. She brought bourbon and didn't speak for 10 minutes. Then she said, "You know what I respect about you, Noah." I waited. "You didn't snap." I raised an eyebrow. She smirked. "You engineered your revenge like a machine. Precise, cold, but never cruel." I shrugged. "I didn't want cruelty. I wanted proof." She nodded. "Still, you had every right to burn them all, and you only lit one room." After she left, I sat by the fire, typed 2 words on the last page of the manuscript, and I stopped. That was enough. Some endings don't need punctuation. They say men like me don't fight back, that we fold, fade, forgive, but some men don't break. Some men bend, and when they snap back, they shatter the ones who underestimated them. Because justice doesn't always wear a badge. Sometimes it wears a quiet smile and waits.